Hey, Soul Survivors, we are back with Joshua Schwartz and his journey, the healing journey, also trials, tribulations, and triumph. So, Joshua, you are across seas. Can you tell me a little bit about what you've been going through since we last talked?
Yeah, hey everybody, how you doing? So I am currently in Cornwall, England right now. I've been over here in the UK since August 22nd. I came here and I went up to Edinburgh, Scotland for about a month. I was living up there. I had rented a flat or did a flat share with two other people. So I had a nice little room up there, living in the city, and I started attending a church up there. I started my master's program for my master's in divinity, and that's about to end in 3 weeks. Well, not the program, the semester.
Yeah, you've been chugging
But
along. I know that when you went out there, you've been through like a transition. You had some temptations, and I kind of wanted to talk to you about how the people that we're around can sometimes affect us or tempt us. You're in a really good situation now, but it started out where it was a little bit tempting.
yeah, it got pretty rough. So the people that I was around, the flat that I was in, I'm 44 years old, and my flatmates were 26, 25, 26. And so I was doing really well. I was doing my schoolwork every day. I was like leading a crazy life, right? And I'm doing it for divinity nonetheless, right? For God. We talked about that. So I would do my schoolwork during the day, and then I would party at night.
So you
I
you
started
went to
drinking.
the VA to kind of get off of
Yeah.
drinking, and you were doing really good, staying on track, really devoted to it. What was it that caused you to kind of fall off the wagon?
It was really just, I mean, traveling. I mean, well, so I guess to set the premise, uh, the UK, probably their big giant pastime over here is drinking. Like that's what everybody does, right? So it's a normal thing. So even the people that I've been going to church with, Friday night we were gonna have our men's night at a pub because they had trivia night there at the Key House in Hale, and I opted out of it because I had been drinking like crazy, like a fish. So really, it's a big pastime over here. I mean, even the church that I was going to in Edinburgh, the guys that were preaching were talking about, going to work and then getting off work and going to have a pint or two at the pub, and then going home. So it's kind of cultural over here.
Now, when
Um,
you first started joining them, were you, I'm stronger than that, I'm not going to be tempted, or were you just like, screw it, I just want to have some fun?
No, it wasn't even that. My main concern at the time when I was at the VA wasn't really alcohol. Like I didn't really go there for alcohol. I went there for marijuana because I really struggled that. So marijuana has always been very like that's been my drug of choice. Like
And
I've done
marijuana
loads of.
is legal now in where we're from in the United
Yeah.
States. So what was it about the marijuana? What did it do to you?
It just took away my ambition. It just, it kept me locked in a life of chaos. It just, I didn't care about much. I would constantly overeat. I would just, I mean, it was bad because at the end of the day, I'm 100% disabled through the VA. So I collect a nice pension check. Well, I was staying with my son, watching my granddaughter, fantastic, but I really didn't have any direction. Like I was just getting high every day, and I'm 44 years old, right? I'm just getting high every day, and like I don't have to do anything. I get paid, I pay my bills, I took care of myself. I had my own vehicle. I could have got my own place, but it was nice. I was staying with my son because I got to see my granddaughter every single day. And so weed has just been, it's been that, as Paul talks about in the Bible, having a thorn in my side. And it's been a thorn in my side my whole life. Like if there's any drug that I've really had a hard time abstaining from, it was always marijuana. Um, so I needed to get away from it because I knew I would never do anything in life if I didn't. I would just
Now,
continue to
I
do the same.
I don't smoke weed, so I don't really know. I was going to ask, because is it more of it's more of a psychological, not a physiological, where your body's addicted to it? What was it that drew you into it? Is it like an escape or
Yeah, my
a
brain.
sensation?
So I have like probably undiagnosed ADHD, maybe, I have, besides borderline. So I have racing thoughts really bad all the time. Like not now. So, I'm still on my medication. So I did bring like a 3-month supply of meds over here. So I still
And
have
that's
my
for
meds. I'm
the
still,
borderline?
yeah, I take Prozac, Buspirone, and then I take a sleeping med, and then I take Prazosin for nightmares. And then that's it. But the Prozac, I think, helps with the racing thoughts. So the
Yeah.
problem is my brain goes super fast, like, all the time, like and I can never slow down. I always cut people off, I always interrupt, and it's not because I'm trying to be rude, right? It's like this is the way it works. So say we're talking and we're in the middle of a conversation and you say something and the thought comes to my head, right? About
Right.
something that you're saying. I need to say it immediately or I'll forget it. Because if I don't say it right then and there, I'll have 10 more thoughts come into my head. And then that's it. Whatever I was about to tell you,
Then you
whatever we
start
were about.
focusing on that. Like, I got to remember this. I got to remember this. So the conversation doesn't happen because I could be talking and you're like, I got to remember, got to remember.
Yeah. So the marijuana, what it did is it gave me a reprieve from my own brain. So it allowed me to shut my brain down and just space out. Like I'd be a space cadet and it would just be like, ooh. And then it would be like, oh, because then I would be able to just get relaxed with no like constant, you can't, I mean, we're always going to have thoughts. I mean, that's
Right.
something, but to have such intense thoughts all of the time, 24/7, where your brain never shuts off, like, and you can't shut your brain off. But again, some people can relax and just kind of just, mellow out, where I can't do that. And so that's what the marijuana did for me. It allowed me to take that, have that ability to shut down and get rest, where
So
I
how do
was
you do
like,
that now that you're not using marijuana? You,
well, my medication, I was really surprised because I noticed in the VA after 2 or 3 weeks of taking the Prozac, I thought I was walking to maybe the chow hall one day, I don't know, or I was walking to no, I think I was walking to counseling one day, and as I was walking, I go, wow, it's really strange. My thoughts haven't been racing. Like I haven't been so fast. And so, like, and that's really weird. So when I went in and I talked to the pharmacist, because, it was like a team effort there, you had a pharmacist that, a doctor who focused mainly on the medication, not just like you think of pharmacists that you go to a pharmacy, but this was an actual pharmacist, but it was, pharmacists are doctors. So
right.
but she had an office and you would sit down and we would discuss medication and what the effects were and what they would do to you and things like that. And then she would send it over. So I went in and asked her one day about the racing thoughts, and she said, yes, Prozac can help with racing thoughts. And so, I take my meds still regularly, and one of the things that I got back into that really helps people with ADHD are video games or computers. So I play loads of video games. I basically, where you see me right now is where I'm at all day long, like morning till night. I'm at the computer. I'm either writing papers for school or playing video games or watching YouTube videos. And that just keeps me kind of focused and then keeps me from going out doing anything crazy.
So the people that you were hanging out with were kind of partiers, a little bit younger,
Very
kind of
much.
getting out for the nightlife, and you kind of fell into that. But you've kind of moved away from that. What caused you to move to the new area? I know you had this love interest that you've been kind of communicating through text or pictures. You've never really met her in person. We've talked about that, where it's cross countries to try and meet up with her. Did you move there to talk with her? What's going on? What's the update on that?
So back to the Edinburgh situation, I ended up getting really crazy partying. I fell into some crazy, well, I didn't really fall into anything. I just was doing drugs. I did get kicked out of my flat because I was partying one night and I brought some people back and we were doing drugs and it ended up the one flatmate called the landlord or something. I don't know. He showed up with the police and it was just crazy. And so they sent me an eviction letter and I ended up leaving there. coming to London for a little while, and I stayed at a hostel while I was figuring out what I was going to do. And then I was partying there a little bit, and I was still talking to that girl. And so she lives where I'm at right now. She's literally like 5 miles away from me. She brought me down here kind of to get me out of the little situation because I didn't have much money at the time. I was waiting for my deposit to get back, and I just paid my rent up for the month.
And this is what's
And
interesting about your situation is it's been going on for several years. You've never met her.
never.
She's sending you money. A lot of times it's more the man sending the money, but this is kind of like a reverse situation where the female is sending the money. And you haven't met her. You want to meet her in person, but there's something
Yeah.
holding her back. So do you feel that she's a real person? Do you feel it's hard to say that you're being scammed when she's the one sending money?
Well, sometimes people, it depends. I mean, you really have to look at it from a lot of different perspectives because we can sit here and speculate all day, but we don't really know her true motives. You
Yeah,
know,
some
she
people
could,
just because they're lonely, they'll pay the money.
yeah, right. She could be lonely, she could be bedridden, she could be a narcissist, right? Playing a game with my head. She could be not the person in the photo. She could be a lot of things, but at the end of the day, you know, again, I'm not going to judge her because I'm no one to judge. What I need to do for myself, right, is some self actualization, and I need to be aware of what's going on. And it is hard because she has been on the phone on the other end for a long time, almost 4 years. And you know, she's helped me out of a lot of situations. Like I said, she kind of brought me down from London, and she put me up in a room for a month, like in a nice, it was a holiday resort. And she paid for it for an entire month, and it was like a little bungalow. It was a 2-bedroom bungalow. It was amazing. um but you know, she put me up there and kind of took care of me, I guess, and got me out of the situation, until I could find this place here. And then, you know, I got paid, and then I took care of everything after that. But she, you know, at the end of the day, she's been a good friend. Sometimes it's been rough. It's been a rocky road. You know, I've been a shit friend. She's been, oh, excuse me, language. She's been a crap friend, and it is what it is. So at the end of the day, I've come to the point where I'm just not chasing anymore. You know, I'll be your friend, and we'll chat, we'll communicate. You know, she's done me wrong plenty of times. I can't really say I've done any wrong to her because I really haven't done anything to her. I mean, maybe hurt her feelings, I guess, in making some of the stupid mistakes that I made, prostitutes or things like that, I guess.
Yeah,
But I'm not,
prostitute, that's kind of a big one, but you're not seeing her in person. So
right. And I've never seen her in person. So at the end of the day, you know, it is what it is. But um, I will say that, you know, all of that, you know, coming down here, I did come down here to see her. I was down here for a month, and then, you know, it just kind of got drug out of like, well, I did have at one point in time for like 2 weeks, I had a load of schoolwork. I had like a 15-page paper to write, and then another 5-page paper to write, all in the same week. I spent 5 days just on the one paper. So I literally, she's like, oh, you know, I don't want to meet because, you know, you need to get your stuff. And I'm like, all right, I get it. So I sat and just did homework and homework. Finally got to a point where, you know, now I'm able to do things. And, you know, we still never met up, and I'm literally 5 miles away from her, and I know I am, and she knows I am. I mean, I know where she lives
now,
kind
can
of,
I
but
ask you a question that I don't know if I've ever asked you before? Do you think you have a sex addiction if you're using prostitutes?
no, I don't know how that even came about, considering the fact that for 43 years, I've never done that in my life.
Oh, I thought you haven't been with a prostitute. I thought you said you.
No, I have in the last year, I have a bunch of times. What I'm saying is for 43 years of my life, I've
Oh,
never done that. Like, I don't even know what led me to that particular situation, but that could be something else for another time and another topic, because I, because of the belief that I have in God and the situation and my ex-wife and some certain things, I kind of have a viewpoint on that, I guess, but it's probably not for this show. And that's something that, you know, we have to talk about later on, I guess,
okay.
because I don't know if that's something that you want to talk about on your shows, you know, because I do believe that there were some behaviors that, I was acting out that were not like my character, but they were certainly an awful lot like my ex-wife's character. And
Oh.
how I came about acting like this doesn't really make much sense in my mind.
Well, yeah, because I would like to address that at some point, because there are like
Yeah.
across like revenge porn today, and just there's usually like people who have been like sexually abused in the past will either become freaks, like super addicted to
Yeah,
sex.
my ex-wife. That
Yeah.
was my ex-wife.
And
Yep. But how did I end up with these behaviors? But like for me, like I said, my belief system, I think it's a little bit more on the spiritual side. So that's why I said, I don't know if you want to get into that on here, because I think personally, coming from somebody who, remember, I was an atheist for 40 years. So coming for somebody to actually seeing the things that I've seen, seeing this other spirit world, like I believe that there's a connection there, that maybe, I did a lot of praying for this girl, and I prayed and prayed that, and maybe at one point I might have said, take this, there's actually some movies like that you can check out, some exorcist movies, but I like, take this from her and give it to me. And then lo and behold, here I am for a year, like exhibiting all of these behaviors
oh,
that,
well, that's the thing. Like the
yeah,
energy exchange. There was a post on Facebook where it had said, that people we come in contact give us an energy exchange. One person said that's really dangerous, because somebody who might have been attacked or in this situation, you're saying that that energy goes on to them. And in a sense, it does. Whether
right,
you've been attacked and now you mentally change, that attack causes that energy in your brain, whether you're thinking about how you're going to interact, how you look at your space around you, and there is that energy exchange. So I see what you're saying, because there is something, whether it's demons or energy or whatever it is, sometimes we take on that energy. But
yeah,
I
I
know
think that's
we,
what happened. And that's because I'm good now. I'm good now. I'm not like, oh, let's go. Like, it just didn't make a lot of sense to me, because, to be totally honest with you, and again, no judgment. I have no judgment. I am by far the last person that could judge. But growing up my whole life, I thought prostitution and even strip clubs and all of that were just, oh no. Like, I might be an a-hole, and I'll say it because I always say everything and I try to tell as much as I possibly can, but I may or may not have went with some friends to a strip club and got really, really wasted one night and threw some threw some change on the stage, and then got my nose broken because, I was just like, because I just don't think that personally you need to sell yourself for money. And I think it's wrong in our society, and I'm not judging. Again, I'm not judging by any means, but I just think that's not a honorable way to make money. And I think it leads to debauchery. So I choose, but how did I end up doing that stuff? I guess I don't know, because I was also doing alcohol, drugs, and that all, it's all tied together in one.
yeah,
So
inhibitions are down, or maybe some of it's revenge, or a whole bunch of things. We'll talk about that later when we can kind of talk ahead of time on that. But
yep.
you're with a really good person right now, or family. And so you went there to see this woman, and God works in mysterious ways too. Maybe there's a reason that you're at where you're at right now. Possibly you seem to be comfortable, happy, content. It took you away from what you were doing there, and you had said too that this woman feels like the mother that you never had. So what is different in this new situation? We can't always keep running from our problems though, but this time it seems like you're in a good spot for where you need to be now.
Yeah, so I ended up finding this room. I'm in a place in Cornwall, and I found this room that is in this little town. I'm in a little tiny town, and it's not even a town. I can't explain it to you. So it's a road. It's
I live in a road.
most of us do, but this is like the town is just like, I can't explain it to you. They're cottages, but they're not. It's really hard to explain if you know what, if you don't know, kind of look up, go on YouTube, or go on Wikipedia or something and look up housing in Cornwall, in Cornwall, England, and you'll see what it looks like. But it's like they're all stone houses and just stuff you probably saw in the movies, and all hedgerows everywhere and stone hedgerows and all that. And so I ended up finding this place on Spare Room, and I'm not far. It's really strange too. Like over here, 3 miles away to somewhere is kind of a ways away for people to go. So say like someone traveling 10 miles, that's kind of far. Like, think about, I used to ride that bike I had from the VA to that house, and it was 8 miles, right?
Right.
For them, that's like they're like, what? Like driving 8 miles for them is just, that's a lot. And because the roads are so tiny, they're about as wide as their cars are little, everything's little. And so I ended up out here. I found it on Spare Room, and I met the lady. We met up and we had a coffee. She actually came and picked me up from where I was at. It was weird because, she had put the place up. She said tons of people messaged her, and she said no. For some reason, she was led to pick me up. So she picks me up. We go have a coffee. She buys me a coffee, and we just talk. And we hit it off right off the bat. And she's 68, and her sister is married to a guy that was in the Air Force, and they live in the States. And so I think that kind of was a little bit of a connection, is that I was a Marine. And so, we have this connection in that regards. So she said, yeah, I'll rent it to you. So she came and showed me the place. And so I came here, and I started living here, and we just kind of really got along. We just started talking all the time, and she started telling me about her family. I started telling her about my situation, my life, everything, the whole story. She knows the whole story of the drugs, everything, all of it, prostitutes. She knows about my kids. And, I think she kind of saw a little bit of my life, and like, I don't know, it's like God put me here because, in the beginning, when I first started staying here, I was comfortable. I'm always comfortable wherever I am usually, but not in the sense where, like, this is something that I never noticed, that I just noticed recently. Like, a lot of times when I go places, when I go to sleep, I have a nice bed back there, with a nice, really nice sheets. She's got, everything's brand new. This house is brand new. And I would never sleep under the comforter. They call it a duvet. I would always sleep under the blanket on top, and I would never do that. And I was like, why? And then I started doing it, and I looked at it as like a comfort thing, like, oh, now I'm like going to bed at night, getting under the covers and everything. Well, it's really strange because it's like, it's almost like a healing effect being here. Really, like, I quit drinking a couple weeks ago. It's been 2 weeks today, actually. And that was on my own accord. I chose, I didn't want to drink anymore, and that was a lot of talking to Bernie and her family. And then she just, I don't know, I'll make dinner for her one night. Tonight she made dinner for me. She involves me in her family. I've met her grandkids, some of her grandkids, not all of them.
You were talking about Christmas over there.
Yeah, I'm going to be here. I'll be here till February, till the first weekend of February. I'll be back. I think February 3rd or 4th, February 3rd. I think.
So has that been making it easier to stay off of drugs or alcohol?
Very much, because now, so since I've been here, since I've been in Cornwall, where I'm at down here, I've been down here for 2 months now. I have found a church. I've been attending the church regularly. I was there today. The church I go to, I'm surrounded by a bunch of good people there. They know all about my situation.
And I'd like to interject that when we remove ourselves from certain situations, we get to a better place for our own selves. So when you were back there, you were partying, you were doing drugs, you were just kind of living the life. And then now when you're in a better situation, sometimes we even reconnect with our God and get back on track. Has this change made any difference in your studies?
No, even when I was up there, when I was partying, doing drugs, whatever, I I never had disconnected from God. I constantly stayed connected. I think a lot of it too had to do with, I think that there's a mixture of a lot of things. I think it's spiritual. I think I was under a lot of attack because I was alone and I was out there, spreading the message, but I'm out there still living, I'm walking the fence. And one of the best things I've ever heard somebody say is that the devil owns the fence. I was on the fence, walking on each side, playing games, but the devil owns the fence. So you can't do that. But also, I think what it is the situation I'm in right now. I was stuck in the idea that if I can give you an answer, it's this. I think after, looking back in my life recently, losing my family, I had this idea of where I was headed. I had my family. This is what I was going to do. And that got taken away in an instant, gone like that. And so because of that, I think I kind of just got lost, and then the idea of trying to start a new life and start a new, be part of a family, be part of my other kids, do this. I think it scared me because I didn't really want to deal with that again, because I don't think the idea of that getting taken away from me again or whatever,
How do you
and
view dating a woman with kids or ever getting married again? Has that changed how you feel about that?
I think that I am going to focus on myself right now. I think right now I'm just focusing on me and finishing my master's degree. My plan is to come back home. My son is actually in the process of buying a house right now. He's going to call me here in about an hour, and then we do FaceTimes, and then he goes around. The plan was supposed to be I was going to come back and stay with my son for a little while and watch my granddaughter, and then I was going to work on my credit, and because I don't have much, I have a lot less than what I thought, and then I was probably going to buy a house, and then I don't know, but my son keeps talking about having friends live with him, and if that's the case, I'm not going to do that. I'm probably going to get my own.
Yeah, you got to watch
I
your
don't
surroundings.
I can't do that. Like, I can get my own place. That's not the issue. The issue is not getting my own place. The issue is I'm not trying to live with, my son, his wife, my granddaughter, and then two of his friends. Like, that's just not going to happen.
And you
So,
were talking about possibly having undiagnosed ADHD and not being able to settle down. How do you react when there is a lot of stimuli around where you got, let's say you did move back in there. So there's, 3 25-year-old guys and a woman and the kid and you and all the commotion. Does it hype you up even more? Does it distract you? How does your brain react to stimulus, whether it's loud music or people at the mall? How do you react to all that?
well, first off, malls don't really exist anymore. Let's just be
I know,
serious.
I never go to one. I know.
Secondly, when I'm around a lot of stimulus, I actually prefer that, believe it or not, because it keeps me occupied in my mind. It's only when I'm by myself that's what really bugs me. It's really hard to be inside my own head, and I get super bored really easy. But that's something that's kind of been going away since I got back into like computers again and games. And that's the thing I can tell. Kind of, you can tell when you're healing is when you start to get back into hobbies that you used to love that you stop doing. Like, one of the things that I before you met me, I think, or I don't know how long you've watched my streams before when I was streaming, but I used to live in the middle of the woods, and hunting and fishing, those were all my like things that I did, and I quit doing all of that. Like, I didn't want to do that a lot because I did that a lot when I had my wife and kids, and I took my kids hunting with me. And so, but like computers, right? Let's say that, like, I've always been into computers. I did a whole bachelor program for systems administration. And I ended up just getting back into it, I guess. And it's kept me occupied. So I see myself getting back into hobbies that I didn't, that I gave up, I guess. And that helps with my brain. So being around a lot of people doesn't really bother me too much. I'm pretty sociable. I just don't want to be around my son and his friends. I don't want to be around a bunch of 25-year-olds, like that's where I just was. I don't mind if it's my son. I can deal with that. and his wife and my granddaughter, but I can't deal with his buddies. And, you know, because I know a lot of times I'll be picking up the house because I'm OCD and like and I'm not picking up after a bunch of
And
kids.
Joshua showed me a picture of his place, and that bed is meticulously made. He did a nice job on that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think I'm in a good headspace right now. I'm surrounded by good people. They're showing me, you know, kind of the family love. They're giving me what I needed, what I didn't get from my mother. And you know, we're having a lot of good conversations. It's a lot like when I had a mentor before everything kind of fell apart. Or no, actually, when everything fell apart, when I was in Whitehall still, for a little while, when I started this journey with God. I had a mentor because I didn't really know too much about it, right? I would say, so my mentor was really a lot like this lady in the regards where this is how I know God sent this woman in my life. I can kind of tell, I could tell my mentor anything, but no matter what I said, and this is the beauty. Ready? I'm going to give God a shame. Well, it's not even shameless. I'm going to give God a plug. Here we go. This is the beauty. No matter what you do, God loves you. It doesn't matter. God will never turn God's back on you, ever. No matter how bad, how much you think you've done wrong, God will never, ever stop loving you. And how do I know this? Because my mentor, that I would tell all the things that somebody would turn their back on you, never turned their back on me and loved me no matter what, loved me through all of it, brought me to his house when I was high on methamphetamine and loved me through it. Same thing in the situation I'm in right now. The lady that I'm living with knows everything, all the crazy stuff. Even a month ago when I was out doing crazy stuff, doing drugs, knows all of it, doesn't judge me, still loves me through it. That's the love of God right there.
That
That's
also
God
gives
shining
you,
through.
it gives you an open door to talk. When
Right.
you're going to be judged, they're not going to
Right.
not going to open up as much. Now, I do want to ask you, because I feel that, you know, when you give things to a higher power, it takes a lot of your pressure off, and it's like an energy exchange. It's a protection. How do you, as far as in your healing, how do you deal with God? Is it you just feel he's there, or is it you give it to him, or what kind of exchange, what kind of things
Well, you
should
can see
somebody
it. I just told you, you have to be aware of it, number one, but you have to be aware of it in a way that you have to pay attention. See, because they talk about it, right? God isn't loud. God isn't boisterous. God doesn't scream and yell. It's the small, still voice, right? That's what they say. God is a small, still voice. And you'll miss it if you don't pay attention. And so I just gave you a perfect example of two people in my life who, through bad situations, who could have just kicked me to the curb and said, see you later, looked at me and said, this man needs help. This man needs something that maybe I have and I can give him. And you know, and that's it right there. Loving me through the craziness, that takes something. And that's, but the reason why I'll tell you is because I've done the exact same thing. I loved my ex-wife through the craziness. Just like this girl right now that I've been chasing down here, whether she's bedridden, a narcissist, not the person, whatever, I still love her through it. You see, I still told her I'll be her friend. I'm going to back off the chasing, but I still love her through it. Like, that's how you model the connection between God and a human, like it between human and human. You know, God loves me so much that gives me what I need when I need it. But the reason that God does that is so when we have somebody else come along in our life that needs that same exact thing, we do the same thing. We can choose not to, but you know, we do. So does it take the stress and pressure off my life? No. I mean, there are times where I'm beating myself up for things that I've done, and then I have to remember that's the importance of staying connected in you know, the Bible and reading every day in the scriptures, because it tells me, it reminds me, wait a minute, stop. We already told you that you're not going to get it right. We already told you
right?
stop beating yourself up. Like it doesn't matter. You're going to keep doing the stupid stuff over and over again. That's why I did it for you. So this is why the Bible says, come to me as you are. Don't try to go get better. Don't try to You know, it's like
Yeah, don't get
try
better.
to
Don't
dress it
feel
up.
you have to get better before you come to God. God is there to
Exactly.
help you
Don't
get better.
dress it up. Come there how you are right now, and I'll help you where you are right now, get through to where I need you to be. And that's the whole thing. And but it's very important that you stay connected in the sense of fellowship. You know, it's very important like that you stay with other believers and people around you, because if you have true believers and people that really love you in Christ, you have people that will show you, you know, and model to you like, yeah, it's all right. Come to me if you need help, if you need this, if you need that, come here. That's what we're here for. And it also helps you in the sense that if you are feeling that weakness, if you are feeling that, you know, oh, I want to go do this or I want to go do that, you have other people that you can fall back on and say, hey, I'm not feeling it today. I want to go do this. Because, you know, I have had one urge to drink since this 2 weeks or whatever. And I could have went out Friday night. I could have went to the pub, but I chose not to, you know, and all the guys, they were cool about it and they understood, like, you know, and it would have been a really fun night, I know. And I probably would not have overdrank because I was with people from church, but it wasn't the point. You know, the point for me is I've made this decision that I don't want to drink, and I'm not going to do it. You know, I can't keep going on in life if I'm going to go through this program, you know, go through this degree. And my whole intention is it's not even forget the degree. If my whole intention in life is to help guide people and lead people, how can I lead them if I'm not doing the right thing?
Right.
And so I'm not saying drinking is not the right thing in the Bible. You can drink, it says it. That's not what I'm saying. But for me, right, it says in the Bible that drunkenness leads to debauchery. And that's what happens when I drink. I overdo it. I drink too much, and then it leads to crazy things. And so I find that I don't need that, you know, and everyone has this addiction. Everyone always has it. It doesn't matter. You're always trying to fill something with something, whatever it is. So I decided to fill that with, you know, back to my computers and back to video games. And, you know, I haven't been working out. I have put on probably 40 pounds since I've been down here because I don't really have access to a gym, which is
You
no
were
excuse.
super active this
Yeah.
summer.
Well, for the last 4 years, I was hardcore active running. I was running 3 miles every day. When I was in Edinburgh, I was running 3 miles every day because the flat share that I had a gym. So I would go to the gym and lift and run. But down here, you know, I don't really have that. And I'm scared to run on these roads because down here, it's a lot different. Up there, you're in the city, the roads are bigger, they're wider. You have some roads that are, you know, small. Living in Edinburgh was an experience because you got Old Town and New Town. So you've got like a 15th century town, you know, like there's a castle in the middle and all the old buildings, and then you've got the new town. I lived in the new part of it, Lathwalk, but down here it's like Cornwall's like farm town. It's like really farm town, but it's really strange because it's like what you might see in the movies, you know, where you see like a green pasture with like a stone cottage and like all the stone, like and the hedges, the walls. That's kind of where I live, like that. So but it, you know, it's really nice. There's a castle here right about a mile and a half away, 2 miles away. It's called I've been to it. It's called it used to be church, or it's from like the 11th century, St. Michael's Mount. So the original one is in France, but the sister one is here. It's in Marazion, and that's actually where that girl lives. That's where I came to here for the first time I came down here. I went there, and but yeah, so all in all, I'm in a great spot right now. I've been good now for a little while, and I've been doing pretty good, and yeah, things are going well, and I can definitely see an improvement in myself. I see an improvement in my mental state. I see, you know, like a lot of things are changing in my life. Like I'm almost to the point, I guess, where I'm ready to go. Like I said to you earlier, like I'm ready to start over. I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to take the next step and start a new life, where I kind of was stuck. Even through the VA, I was just still stuck. You know what
You
I mean?
seem
Like,
very, which way do I go? What do I
right.
do? And also
And now,
antsy, like I want to get something. And sometimes when we get in that point, it's like, I'm just going to pick this. So
yeah.
you've overcome a lot. It shows that, you know, there are ups and downs in life. Sometimes we have to take those ups and downs to get to where we're supposed to be, because we don't always realize it, or it's not always the right timing. And you had said that I'm done traveling. I'm about ready to settle where I need to be. And you've had a lot of ups and downs, but you persevered. And I'm sure there's a lot of lessons learned along the
Yeah.
way. And sometimes we have to learn those lessons. So I would love to talk to you more on that one topic because I used to sell costumes at strip clubs, and I also, like with psychology, I really wanted to understand why so many women would dance. And my theory was about the sexual abuse. And so we can talk about that later. Some of the temptations, our outlets, things like that is for a different time, but I would like to talk to you on that. Some of the things that maybe you've seen, but thank you for sharing your journey. And if you have one piece of advice for people, or if you'd like to close in prayer, can you share some advice or a prayer?
Actually, when you started to say that, I knew what you were going to say, and the first thing that came to mind, and I'm just going to say it: don't ever give up. Don't ever settle for, and this isn't a don't ever, I'm not saying don't ever settle for this or that. Don't ever settle. How can I say this? Don't ever settle for a lesser version of yourself than what you really want. So go out there, no matter what you do, you can do it, and however you do that, hopefully if you believe in God, that's great. If you don't, hopefully one day you find God. If you don't, hey, but hopefully you don't give up on yourself and just push forward. Because mental health is a really tough thing. And there's one thing I didn't say is in October, actually, no, last month. It was last month, I think. Yeah. A couple weeks ago, actually, that a buddy of mine from the Marine Corps, I talked to him October 3rd, and he killed himself. And he
Oh,
was a husband, father of two, and it's crazy. So yeah, don't give up on
what brought that
yourself.
on? What brought that
I
on?
don't I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody has any idea, really. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I started this new Facebook, and then I went and added like all my friends from the Marine Corps. It's just a few people, and he said, hey, can't remember what he said to me, but he said some smart ass something, and I said, what's up? And I told him I'm in England. We talked for a second, and then a month later, maybe, he killed himself. I was like, what the?
Yeah, that's
So
why if anybody is struggling, mental health issues are real, and sometimes they can get worse. I do have free resources. If you type in free resources, I do have on my channel. You guys can have access. Also contact me, leave a little comment. There is 988, which is a suicidal prevention. If you are outside of the country, one is our country code.
111 over here. It's 111 or 999.
Interesting. Well, thanks so much, Joshua, for joining us. I look forward to talking to you again soon, and hurry back to the States.
Yeah.
All right. Take
Thanks,
care.
everybody.
Bye.
See ya.
Thanks again.